The rig I'm going to show you is a pulley pennel rig. This rig is designed to fish over a ground where you've got rocks and weed, where you need to keep your lead up off the bottom when you're retrieving a fish. The rig is constructed at a 60-pound Powerflex backbone, which is attached to a lead clipped bait clip, and on the trace above it then you put a bead, a swivel, another bead and a swivel on the other end, which is the attachment for your hook snood. Now the swivel in the middle, which slides up and down, is how the pulley is formed, and this one gets attached to your shock leader as such. The easiest way to tie this is to slide a hook up the line and to tie a hook on the end, and when you put your bait on, what you do, you wrap the line several times around the shank of the hook and you nick it into the top of the bait. And when you've got your bait loaded, you hold it and you attach it to your bait clip on your lead. And now the trace is ready for casting. And when you've cast it out, the hooks come off the bait clip. And if you're lucky enough to catch a fish when you cast out, when you retrieve the trace, what happens is the weight of the fish slides the lead up to the end of the shock leader. So when you're winding in, the lead is held above the bottom when you're dragging the fish in. So there it is, that's the pulley pennel clip down rig, which is a tremendous rig for fishing over semi-rough ground. This is the rotten bottom rig. This rig is essential to use over rough ground when you're trying to get your fish back. I can't express how important it is to use a system where you can get rid of your lead, because if you do manage to hook up a fish on your hook and you can't get your lead back, it's an absolute nightmare, because at the end of the day your main line snaps and the fish is stuck on the bottom and it can't swim away or whatever. And it is so important to use one of these traces when fishing over rough ground. The rig works like this. You've got a lead weight with a light piece of line attached. This line is 6 pound. How the rig works is the clip is pushed through the eye of the lead, as so, and it is folded back up the main line of the trace, and there is a tin hat on the line which slips over the clip, holding the clip in place. Now this is ready for casting out. This tin hat will not come off when you're casting, but what happens is when it hits the water, water pressure pushes it up and out comes the clip, releasing the rotten bottom system. Now what happens, the lead weight sinks to the bottom, it'll get caught up, and when you retrieve, after you've had a bite hopefully and you've got a fish on the hook, you pull the line and the rotten bottom snaps and breaks away. And what you're left with then is just the clip to wind back in with your fish on the hook. The hook stud is attached to the backbone of the trace via a trap swivel system, which consists of a crimp, a bead, a swivel, which the hook stud is attached to, another bead above it, and then another crimp. And it is important that your hook line is not longer than the backbone of your trace, because if you don't catch a fish, your hook is above the rotten bottom system when you're winding in, so your hook can't get caught up in any weed or any rocks when you're retrieving. Rotten bottom rig, and it is an essential rig to use when you're fishing over rough ground.